Welcome to Simple Solutions, the podcast where big challenges meet practical answers. I've spoken on big stages. I've taught in classrooms. I've learned from some of the world's greatest speakers. And through it all, one principle remains true. Success leaves clues. On this show, we uncover those clues. We break down complex problems into clear, actionable strategies you can apply right now. So, if you are ready to grow, ready to lead, and ready to win, well, you are in the right place. This is Simple Solutions. Welcome to another episode of Simple Solutions, where we take complex problems and break them down into simple solutions. Today, we have a very special guest. This individual, not only is he a business owner, he's also into fashion. He has his own clothing line, Vietvegr. In addition to that, he's also a business developer, and he helps entrepreneurs scale and grow their business. So today, please welcome our special guest, Ivan Vega. How you doing, Victor?
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
Oh, man, it's always a pleasure. Man, I tell you, you had one of the coolest names when I first met you. You know, Vietvegr. It sounds like something should be in Vegas somewhere. You know, such a cool name.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, Vic, we're gonna dive into this because, as we talked about before, our main objective is to kind of help entrepreneurs make that transition from W-2 and become profitable, right? So let's talk a little bit about your journey. So, Victor, where are you from originally?
Well, I was born in Mexico. I was raised in Mississippi, and I was made in Memphis, Tennessee.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, what part of Mississippi?
DeSoto County, North Mississippi, right on the line. So basically Memphis.
I got you. I tell people all the time, man, that is Memphis, you know.
Yeah, that's Junior, you know.
Yep. You know, my hometown, I'm from Mississippi as well. But I'm
Okay.
further south. I'm from Laurel, Mississippi.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, when I hear people talk about, man, I'm from Mississippi, and they say South Haven or Olive Branch, I'm like, stop it.
From Memphis, practically, right?
Right. It's just a state line. It's a state line. So Vega, we'll kind of dive into this. Now, what made you decide to become an entrepreneur? How long have you been an entrepreneur? Let's start there.
Oh man, to tell you the truth, I really started when I was young. I was an entrepreneur before I knew I was an entrepreneur. Growing up as the oldest, having the chance to go to public school here. My mother, she didn't have a chance to seek education when we got here. So being the oldest to my brother and sister, just stepping up to that leadership role, learning in English, and kind of just helping navigate my family through some trials. I figured I was destined to be an entrepreneur. Now, I didn't know what an entrepreneur was at first, but it's someone that is a problem solver, believes in themselves, and has vision. So I'd have to say it really started in my young childhood, probably like when I was 10, even younger than that.
Yeah, I love it. And you mentioned siblings. So how many siblings do you have?
Yeah, so I have two. I have a younger brother and sister. Very intelligent
Yeah.
as well. They're entrepreneurs as well. They haven't tapped into it, but I'm hoping that one day they can follow my footsteps.
Absolutely. So you paving the way.
I'm trying.
I've been watching your grind.
Yeah.
I think you and I passed cross back in 2019, maybe,
Yes,
or
sir.
20. I can't remember exactly the year.
Hmm.
But now just watch you elevate with your own clothing line. I saw you had your grand opening in Memphis, which I was so proud. Like, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, and then it just progressed. So talk to me a little bit about those getting that startup, with your clothing line. What was that like, and what made you decide to go into fashion?
Well, I think branding is very important when it comes to like startups or any type of business. You want to have a great branding concept. So I felt like as an entrepreneur, to step into entrepreneurship, it was important for me to start a brand that I could carry as a legacy. So I started the clothing brand Vic Vega as really my entry into entrepreneurship. Just because it's cost efficient, it's cheap to create clothes and print clothes. And as I grew in scale from branding, I had found myself into business development. So really, what it did, it opened up more doors for me. But I'm still into branding. I still love designing clothes, designing concepts. It's really it brings out that the artist side of me. And now I'm fully focused on the business development side because, like I mentioned, branding to business, to your service, it's very important. It makes people feel connected as well. It really just gives you an authentic reach, right? When people just feel like they're involved with your brand and you're offering a service or any type of goods, products. It all goes back to your branding.
Mm-hmm. And I was watching your clothing line. The shirts are kind of fire. I ain't gonna lie. The two V's, I mean, that was amazing. So why is branding important for an entrepreneur?
Well, the way you manage yourself, it's all about branding. And, before people know you, they kind of already have an idea, or they just assume something about you. So it's very important that from the beginning that you kind of make a branding identity and grow from it, but also be true to your brand, right? Like you don't want to create a brand just because it's hot or niche and you think others might like it. You create a brand that truly express yourself, and when you really dive into who you are, you can then elevate your branding ideas, your visuals, but it all starts with, branding yourself. How do you manage yourself? How do you express yourself? And who are you when no one's looking? Is what's most important. And, I would say that to anyone that is looking to get into entrepreneurship, make sure you know who you are and what kind of brand identity you want to showcase to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Being authentic.
Yeah.
Uh, 'Cause as you know, I'm in the life insurance industry, and I remember when I was developing my agency, and a lot of my uplines and mentors, they just call their agency their last name agency. For example, like if we're gonna be my agency, it'd be Clayton Agency.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, man, you know what? Although I love my last name, I'm proud of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted a business that kind of symbolizes what I want to do and what I want to accomplish. And
Absolutely.
that's why I came with simple solutions. Because
Hmm.
people have a problem, big problems, but I'm always solution driven.
Absolutely. And I think that, everyone wants simple things, right? So if you can create a pathway where a fifth grader or, a veteran can understanding, then that's really what people want, just simple solutions.
Absolutely. Like it's the old acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Or I used to watch the movie back in the day with Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington called Philadelphia.
Okay, yeah.
And Denzel will always say, break it down like I'm 8 years old. Forget I have a law degree. Break it down. And I think within the business, we want to take that complex and make it very simple. So I really appreciate what you were saying about
Absolutely.
branding yourself and just making it fit you and who you are.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so so
Sorry.
talk to me about the and I think you're gonna edit that, but I think your camera went out.
Yeah, I've got it right here. There we go.
There we go. And I'll make sure that my editor edits that.
Okay, cool.
So talk to me about the journey. The just and before I talk about the journey, talk to me a little bit more about the business development. What does that entail?
Yeah, so with the with the journey. So kind of touching back on the journey into business development, like my whole life journey.
Yeah.
So you want me to tap it more into the business development journey?
Yeah, just your journey into becoming, entrepreneur, the ups and downs. What was that like for you in the initial stages? Now, when you was a childhood, now you graduated, your vision is more crystal clear. Talk to me about that journey from that standpoint.
Yeah, so to tell you the truth, the journey really started when I had joined the Memphis Chamber back in 2022. I was really trying to get in the rooms, right, with those professionals, those experts, and it's very important that you do so. I think a great piece of advice is you got to get out of your comfort zone for you to elevate and grow. So when I was going to the chamber, I had the privilege of meeting some great people, some great CEOs, presidents here in the city, and at times you kind of feel out of place, but it's really all a mental state. It's really just your mind, your subconscious mind messing with you. So I think it's very important that throughout the journey you kind of have a very pure, focused mind, right? And um, so to do so, I made sure I built routines on my daily habits to make sure I am, focused. And a lot of my journey is just a reflection of my daily habits, right? When we talk about your journey, you really have to be present, right? Because we're all visionaries. We all love to look to the future and plan big, but it's really day by day. And I think when you're on the journey, you should take every day and just focus and hone in on that day, so yeah, I mean, there's ups and downs, but at the end of the day, you have to think about the big picture, right? It's why did you start? And if you ever feel a little fatigued and tired, you kind of just go back to that feeling and remind yourself why you started. And I find myself doing that a lot. There's some days I'm burnt out, I'm just exhausted. Sometimes you might even go weeks, months without even feeling like you haven't progressed. But really, it's like I mentioned, it's all about being present. So when we speak on the journey, I think it's important that you stay present, you take every day, you give grace, gratitude, you let your faith lead you, and love protect you. I'm very big on allowing my faith to lead me, practicing gratitude every day, and loving what I do. So it's made the journey that much enjoyable. So when I joined the chamber, I was able to connect with some great business owners, and from the start of my brand, I was able to help market and advertise some of these small businesses. And throughout the years, I found myself networking and making connections and partnerships. And I found myself loving to help others. I mean, I love when I see someone's business grow and scale, and for me to be able to help with that business development side, it really just it fills me up, and I feel a lot of gratitude for it. So business development is something I would do for free, but I'm really good at it. I get paid for it, right? So it's a luxury. I love it. I love to help business owners, grow and scale. And just being a part of their expansion, it really just enlightens me.
Yeah, I love that. One thing you said that really resonated with me,
Mm.
of course, faith. I'm a big believer in faith because entrepreneurship is faith driven. You
Yeah,
have no evidence that this is gonna work. You just have to believe in yourself and believe in the vision, and believe in the people around you. I believe in God, but some people say higher
absolutely.
power. It's okay, but it's faith driven.
Hmm.
And then the other thing you mentioned that I like was gratitude. I'm gonna tell you a
Absolutely.
story, man. I can remember one time I was coming from AT&T, and I tell everybody, my salary back then was about 4,000 to 5,000 a month. And then I got to the insurance industry. I was able to replace my income, my monthly income. Then I went from making 5,000 a month to making 10,000 a month. Went from making 10,000 a month to making 20,000 a month. But I became ungrateful.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that 20,000 was not good enough no more. Because I was surrounded by people who was making 50,000 and
Mm.
100,000 a month. And now I'm thinking my little 20,000 is not like this little bit of money.
Yeah.
Not realizing I'd afford X my salary from AT&T. And T.
Yeah.
And when I was making that 20,000, I became the most unhappiest at that
Wow.
time
Yeah.
because I lost gratitude.
Hmm. Yeah.
Once I flipped it, I just started becoming more grateful for the opportunity, became content,
Yeah.
but not complacent. It was amazing how I came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
So,
one thing we all not all suffer, but some of us suffer from is, comparison. Sometimes we start comparing our success to others, and social media nowadays, it can be very toxic. So, if another piece of advice, like we mentioned, gratitude, but also just don't compare your success to others, even though at times it all looks cool on the internet. It's just really how do you feel at the end of the day, right? Are you content with your returns? Are you happy? And if not, then there's some internal work to do, right? Because everything
right.
is internal work. It's working on yourself. So yeah, I try
Yeah.
not to compare. I don't hate on others. I think that's just ugly. I always say winners help others, losers hate on others, right?
Hmm.
So I'm very big on uplifting others. My mother says she named me Victor because I'm a winner. But really, to me, a winner is how many people can I help at the same time help myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Kind of takes you back to the Sherpas. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah,
How many people you help get to the top of Mount Everest?
yeah,
Now, of course, the person gets to the top of Mount Everest. They did it one time, and their name is in the newspaper.
yeah, yeah,
But those Sherpas, they did it several times,
yeah.
and they take joy not having the name in the newspaper, but how many people they helped get to the top of that mountain that they're giving back. So, yeah, I enjoy that, and that's how you and I aligned when I first met you a
Mhm.
couple of years back. I'm like, hey, we got the same vision and the
Yeah.
same goal. Now, let's kind of talk about why do some people fail as an entrepreneur? What would you think? I
Mhm.
won't say the main reason, but
Yeah.
just a couple of reasons why they would kind of lay
Yeah.
some groundwork for people who are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur.
I think that fear is an illusion. It's kind of goes back to, like I mentioned earlier, taking control of your mind, because there's going to be some tough days, and that's life. Life and entrepreneurship align. You're going to have your good days, you're going to have your bad days. That's just life. But fear is just an illusion. It's just that those thoughts, those voices you hear, you telling you you're not good enough or you should give up, but really you've got to take control of your mind. I think it really just goes back to how much do you know yourself? Do you really love what you're doing, or are you doing it for attention, right? Or are you doing it for what other reason? So in entrepreneurship, I think a great entrepreneur is built not only off vision but passion and purpose, right? And if you can add all those together, then you won't ever give up, right? Because on days that you feel like giving up, your passion is going to wake you up. Your purpose is going to wake you up. Your vision is going to wake you up, and you're going to remind yourself, "Wow, I can't give up." But like I mentioned, if you're just doing it to maybe get some recognition, attention, or just to look cool, whatever it may be, then chances are that it might not succeed because it's not authentic. And over time people they'll scope that out. They're going to be able to notice, well, you're not really who you claim to be. You're kind of just false claiming. So if you're getting into entrepreneurship, make sure it's not only a service or a product, but it's a passion. Make sure you're doing it because you love what you're doing, and you would even doing it for free if you could, but you got to pay the bills. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I did a couple things for free just to get the knowledge. But
yeah,
then once you get the knowledge, now I gotta get paid for the experience. So I
yeah,
do understand that. Um, yeah, I really believe that, as you mentioned, that
yeah.
passion is strong,
Uh,
uh,
Contagious.
contagious. Absolutely, your energy.
Yeah,
Like what wakes you up?
yeah,
Because you mentioned if it's only about money,
hmm
you know, well, let's just put it out there. Being an entrepreneur,
yeah,
money is the last thing to show up.
yeah.
It's the
Exactly.
last thing. I
I
mean,
go a long time without money, right? But like
yeah,
you're right, you don't do it for the money, because if you're just doing it for the money, then you'll never really achieve what you're wanting, to accomplish. I mean, money, you can make money doing almost anything, illegal, good or
absolutely.
bad. But let's hope that you're doing it for the good reasons.
Yeah. And then I always challenge people and ask them, okay, so if you do get the money and that's your goal, now what?
Yeah,
You got the
exactly.
money.
Yeah, and
So,
I had a mentor once tell me, he said, don't get too low on your lows and don't get too high on your highs. Just focus on that next step. And I had I kind of, I wouldn't say a problem, but when you're younger, you get a win and you just celebrate it, and then you get another win, and they kind of get to your head, because you're like, oh man, I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. It feels good, it looks good, you want to show it off, but then you start realizing that all these wins all it is the next step, right? It really is not where you're going to stop. I mean, so one piece of advice is, don't get too caught up on your wins or your losses. Just stay focused, and enjoy it. If you lose today, you might win tomorrow. So
yeah. I said, yeah, we just an even kill. I
yeah,
don't get too
yeah,
high. Too low. I'm right here.
Yin
You
yang,
know.
right?
Yeah, it's good and it comes with it. And once again, when I first started onto the insurance industry,
Hmm.
I used to get extremely excited when I
Yeah,
had a win.
yeah, yeah,
Like it's adrenaline. Like, oh, I did it.
yeah,
And then when the low happens, it's going to happen.
yeah.
That's business. It's going to happen. And
Absolutely.
then in the beginning, it took me real down. You
Yeah.
know, so I had to learn to discipline my disappointments.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just your emotions, right? It's like that emotional intelligence, and I think that just comes as growing as a person. It's not wrong to get excited. There's nothing wrong with it, but you've got to understand that this is part of entrepreneurship. You're gonna have those successes and those losses, but you have
Hmm.
to be professional and focused during both. And no
Absolutely.
one likes to show off. No one really likes to show off. So.
Hmm. Yeah, ego could be one of the the most expensive thing you could own. Is
Yeah,
that
oh,
ego?
absolutely. It's the ego, and they kind of like we mentioned earlier, which I won't stay too much on this topic, but it's really just the social media age we're in. Everyone thinks they're an influencer or they're some model, but
Hmm.
it really comes down to it is who are you at the when no one's looking, right? Like, and you got to be at peace with yourself. So with entrepreneurship, one piece of advice is just make sure you're doing it because you love it. Don't do it because you want to get attention or the wrong reasons. Just do it because you've got passion, right? You got passion
Yeah,
for it.
yeah. Because I say anybody, like I said, I specialize in life insurance, but
Yeah,
entrepreneurship is a vast system,
yeah,
and you just find your niche,
yeah,
but make sure that's what you want to do because you can make money at a W-2. Just get you a job, and
yeah, yeah.
that's a way less stressful.
Yeah,
In the beginning.
I have to say, I'm funny. It's funny you bring that up, and I love to share this to anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur. Don't quit your job because you think entrepreneurship is easy. Okay, you're going to be working 5 different positions when you're doing entrepreneurship. Right? You're going to be wearing different hats. There's going to be a lot of education you're going to have to pick up on. There's going to be, labor hours that you don't even get paid for. So if you're thinking about getting into entrepreneurship because you want to quit your office job because it might be too hard for you, it's not the right path. Also, don't quit your job if you don't have any capital saved up to start a business, right? Because it's just not going to work out. And it goes back to like the social media age, right? It's people will tell you, quit your job, you work a 9 to 5, you do, they look down on that. And I think that's crazy. I personally
Yeah.
think that is just, I don't know who started that, but it's not good advice. So if you're looking to be in entrepreneurship and you're going to quit your job because you don't like it, well, I'm going to tell you, entrepreneurship is very difficult.
Yeah.
You're going to be working 5 times harder now. So
Yeah, and that was one of the ones I quit AT&T and dove right into life insurance,
mm,
and it has the pros and cons.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, some of the pros I had a lot of time on my hand to fail quickly. All right,
Yes, yes, yes.
some of the cons was I didn't have a safety net, so I had to do it,
Yeah.
and that pressure can either make you or it could break you.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm. And I
That,
had to go back to AT&T at
oh,
one
yeah,
point.
and
Yeah,
there's
I had to
nothing
go
wrong
back.
with that, right? There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with making mistakes. It's only wrong if you quit, right?
absolutely.
Entrepreneurship is all about making mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, you're not growing or learning, or
Yeah,
So another piece of advice is don't be scared to make mistakes. Make them.
yeah,
Make as many as you can, but make
yeah,
sure you're learning from them too.
yeah. And don't take advice for people who don't have the same goals
Oh,
as you do.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember when I went back to AT&T and cause no debt wrote it to me. I
Uh-huh.
wasn't expecting to join a business and I did it completely wrong. And I
Mhm.
had all the debt. I had to pay about 17,000. And so I tell my wife, I said, "Hey, well, here's the situation. I'm gonna go back to AT&T. I'm gonna work full time in the morning, and the evening, I'm gonna work, my insurance business."
Mhm.
And I said, I'm gonna give myself a year to do that. Now, when I went back to AT&T, some people are like, what happened to your big job? What happened to your entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
and they kind of they talked about it, made fun of me. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's okay. Do you know
Exactly.
how much shrinkage we have at AT&T at the time? How much theft? How
Oh,
many people is fired? And we still push through.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
look at it as shrinkage.
Hmm.
It's part of the business. That's how it was.
Hmm.
It's a loss, but hey, I'm gonna take that L and move from a loss and make it
Totally.
become a lesson.
That's right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And just remember, people are going to talk if you do good or you do bad. So
yeah.
that's life.
That's life. And now I gave myself a year, and I was done in 9 months, and I never looked back.
Oh yeah.
And I was able to scale, my agency and my business.
Yeah.
So for those who are trying to pursue entrepreneurship, and you may have those setbacks,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
love what Les Brown says. If you when you fall, try to lay on your back.
Yeah.
Okay, if you can look up, you can get up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I always love that. I always love that. Now you mentioned your morning routine, so kind of dive into that. Like, what is your morning routine?
Ooh, yeah. So I like to start my morning off very quiet. It gives me a time to just focus, get my mind right. So it's an early morning meditation. It's about 15 minutes. Frequencies, 432 frequencies, guided meditation. After that, I jump right into a cold shower. Wakes me up. Once after that, I take my dog on a walk. It's really a time with God. It gives me time to really just, give thanks, practice gratitude. After that, I go to the gym. I get about an hour workout in, come home. It's about 9, 10 a.m. by now. Now I start diving into the business. Now, depending on the day, if I have an early morning, I typically like to do all that before my meetings. But roughly around 9 to 10, I start getting really active. And from there,
Yeah.
reaching out to my clients, checking up on businesses, or going to any networking events, depending on the schedule. I fast, so throughout the day I just drink water and have a little bit of coffee, sometimes a Red Bull. I try to stay a healthy diet. I practice this rule. It's called 80-20, 80% of the week. I try to stay consistent, eat clean. 20%, I like me a Big Mac and some fries. Uh, so it's really just staying consistent, reflecting. I reflect a lot. I journal. I write every day. I journal every day. Um, so a lot of my daily routine is just like self development, personal development, and just reflection.
Yeah. That's powerful because most people do not have a daily routine.
Yeah,
I didn't have one when I was working my full time job. My daily routine was if I had to be at work at 8 o'clock,
yeah,
I'm gonna get up like at 6:30. Get the kids ready for school.
yeah,
Leave probably like at 7:30 and fly through traffic on 385 in Memphis. Become frustrated because the traffic's not moving fast enough. I'm about to be late.
yeah,
That was my routine, and I think that's a lot of people's routine.
yeah.
And now I'm up at 4:30, meditating like you do. I just had a quiet time. I have two small children
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah.
Before they get up, I want to have peace.
Oh yeah, that's it. And I like to end my day with peace too. So in the evening, another little quick meditation, clear my mind. No screen after 10. Once 10 p.m. comes, my phone's off. If you need to call me, you have to wait till tomorrow. So, I try to
Yeah,
limit my screen time and just, spend more time with myself and get to know myself every day. And I think that's important. We live in the age where there's so many distractions just every day. It's the scrolling, the TikToks, all that stuff. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like, did you spend time with yourself? And I think that's
yeah,
very important, especially for an entrepreneur. It's all as an entrepreneur. I think a lot of it has to do with self development because you got to be ready to adapt. In entrepreneurship, especially in the markets. It depends on what service you're in or what you're offering. Things change just about every day. So if
hmm
you're not working on yourself and if your mind mentality is not there, you might get left behind, right? So
yeah,
I think it's very important that you work on yourself as an entrepreneur as well.
yeah. I think that's very key to being successful. That personal development, and that's not taught in schools,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's one thing I think we need to implement that in a school system.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
absolutely. I think the same thing. I wish that in public school or just schooling system, more real life experiences would be taught. Right? It's like you
hmm
finish school, and now it's time to start doing real life things. Right? Well, I didn't learn this in school. And I'm still trying to figure out what y equals mx plus b means. So,
Yeah, and in my field, I'm not going to use that.
right? It's
But
like,
I am going to use some breathing techniques, how to
yeah,
woo-saw, how to
yeah,
calm myself down, how
absolutely.
to
That's important. Yeah,
talk myself through a bad day and a bad situation,
yeah,
how to be solution driven. Those are life lessons,
yeah.
and that's what I teach my kids now. They one of them is 12,
Hmm.
and the other is 6.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, hey, listen, let's start learning. Let's learn affirmations. Let's speak positive
That's
things into
right.
yourself now.
Yeah.
You could do it. It might not be easy,
Yeah.
but it will be simple.
Yeah.
It's simple, and we could focus on that. So, I just think that's real big, as you mentioned. Your morning routines.
Yeah.
You can see Kobe behind me. I just love the mindset of the Mamba mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
He always talked about having a routine.
Absolutely.
Routine.
Absolutely. And as you see the white tiger behind me, just calm, cool, and collective, right? And that's kind of where you need to be. Just always be calm, right? Don't let your emotions get to you or your mind. And a lot of that comes with getting to know yourself, right? So, yeah, I think it's very important that you practice, routine systems. I believe successful people have routines and systems. That's what
Yeah.
keeps them on track. You can't be all over the place all the time. You're not going to get nowhere, right? You're just running circles. So
Right.
have systems, have routines.
So talk to me about the Chamber of Memphis.
Yeah, yeah.
What some of the benefits you had or experienced just being part of that group? I know I'm here in Bartlett, and we have our own chamber, which is separate from Memphis,
Mhm.
which have been some great things I have enjoyed with that and those couple of people. So, what has been some of the experience you had with the Memphis chamber?
Oh man, it's been great. Truly, growing up, I will just to take you back. Fred Smith played a big role in my entrepreneurship journey, as in, loving the store of FedEx. I even worked there when I first moved to Memphis. That was my first job was FedEx at the old hub. So it was the original hub, right?
Okay.
And through my years in Memphis, I wanted to kind of get into the more of the entrepreneur scene, and I found the Memphis Chamber through a mentor. And when I joined, you don't really know what you're stepping into when you first get into it, but they were very accepting. They've helped me with networking opportunities. Meeting people I never thought I would meet if it wasn't for the chamber, but as well as just getting engaged and involved with what's going on. Right, like they're very public. They communicate very well what's going on out there in the business landscape of things, and I think that's important as entrepreneurs. You need to be aware and informed, because if you're not, then really you don't have an understanding. And they do a great job of keeping us informed of the opportunities, what the business is looking like, and what the future looks like for us. So I'd have to say my experience with the Memphis Chamber has really built, it has helped me throughout my journey, and I'm very thankful for them. And I hope to continue to not only learn and grow with them, but have an impact. And play my role, and how can I help? And I think that's important. Is when you join an organization like the Memphis Chamber, you have to really think, well, how can I get involved, right? You don't just want to be in the rooms; you want to be involved in the rooms. So, I have
Yeah,
nothing but great things to say about them, and the experiences. So, yeah, I'm very thankful for the Memphis Chamber.
absolutely. I tell people you can't go through life with two catcher mitts. Just
Yeah.
all trying to receive and receive and receive, and you
Right.
never throw the ball back.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. It's like, why are you here? Like, and I'll tell my kids, whenever you're playing, you may be playing catch, and you're playing with another child. They may throw you the ball. You take the ball, you put it in your pocket.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, you got several other balls, so he throw you another ball. You catch it, put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Eventually, the kid gonna stop playing with you.
Yeah.
He's not giving back. You know, and that's what it's like with any group.
Yeah.
If
Absolutely.
you're just going through life just trying to receive and receive and receive, take, 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 take,
No.
and you don't throw the ball back,
Yeah,
You don't play your part.
absolutely. You have to be a giver, right? You have to give back and play your role. And I think that's important. I think that's a way for us to progress as a whole. Is like, together we're stronger, and if we can all just contribute in a way, then things will change. And I think Memphis is on a great path for the future. I think that we have some great young entrepreneurs here in the city. I mean, the future is looking bright. It really is.
Yeah,
And every day I just see more and more entrepreneurs, and it just it fills me up with joy because that's what you do it for, right? As an entrepreneur, you want to create those pathways for the younger generation. And
yeah,
right now, I think Memphis is the city. It's the city. It's now. It's for the future, and I can't wait to see what the great things are ahead for us.
yeah. It's developing. Even Bartlett out here is
Oh
developing.
yeah, man, everywhere. It's beautiful to see.
Yeah, and I just love the progression. I just be a part of it. Just knowing that you are giving back to the community, it makes you proud. You see it differently.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Now, real quick, let's talk about the benefits or the difference between having the W-2, because you did mention you had worked before at FedEx,
Yeah, yeah.
and now as an entrepreneur. How is your life different from being an entrepreneur versus, punching the clock?
Well, I would say, how you do one thing's how you do everything. So even at FedEx, I had the vision of doing great things there. When I first started, I was so amped. I was so excited to be part of a big team like FedEx, and I still feel that way now. So really, it's just about who you are. What are your goals? What's your purpose? What do you think your purpose is and your passion? So, if from working a 9 to 5 to working your own or managing your own 9 to 5, it's really who are you, and are you that going to be that same person? If I was to lose this tomorrow and I did have to go work a 9 to 5, I'm going to carry that same fire. I'm still going to carry that same passion because that's who I am as a person, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's important that not much has changed because like I said, I still feel like that young Vic that was at FedEx. Now I'm just operating my own business, but I think it just goes back to who you are as a person. An entrepreneur will be an entrepreneur at a company or at his own company. You're always going to be an entrepreneur, right? And
Hmm.
so it really to answer your question, I feel the same.
Yeah, I love it. One thing I don't think people see, as you mentioned before, that you're gonna be the same person when you work in a FedEx. You had the vision.
Yeah.
Now that you have your own, you just executing the vision.
Mhm.
Same thing when I was working. I'd have managed different retail stores, from AT&T to S&K Menswear that went out of business. Mac which became Belk. No matter what company I worked for, I was always trying to climb the corporate ladder.
Right. Yes.
Very, very driven,
Yeah.
ambitious in a good way. I wasn't the type of individual that I need to step on people
Mm.
to make myself look better. I just think that's a bad practice.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, it was just horrible. But I got to the point where people just tell me certain things like, "Hey, you know what? If you work on this, you can move forward." So first, like, "Hey, go get a degree."
Yep.
So I started going to night school. I had another mentor. He said, "John, you speak real fast.
Yeah.
You got great ideas,
Yeah.
but you speak fast.
Yeah.
Once you start going to Toastmasters, to
Oh,
slow down a
nice.
little bit." So I
Hmm.
started going to Toastmasters, and this while I was working for a company. It
Hmm.
had anything to do with the business. It's just
Right.
how can I become a better version of myself? And
Hmm.
I still speak fast, but I still love it because that's who I am.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. You got to embody that. You got to embody it and make it work. So.
I look at people on TV like Charles Barkley. He has that southern draw from Alabama. That's Charles,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like his voice, Shaq. His voice, uh, Shannon Sharp. Like they have embodied
Yeah.
their perfect imperfections. That's
Absolutely.
what I tell people.
Yeah. And as an
Sometimes you be
entrepreneur,
authentic.
yeah, I think it's important that you, like you mentioned, embody your imperfections. No one's perfect, right? I mean,
Absolutely. So
sometimes.
too many people try to change and be this and
Yeah.
that like a chameleon. You don't know who you are.
Yeah. Exactly. And Yeah, just embody your imperfections. I mean, you're gonna have to live with them for the rest of your days, so you might as well accept them.
Yeah, you can work on them, but hey,
Yeah,
something about hey, that's just me. Like people
yeah,
like 5'5". You 5'5".
yeah.
That's just you. It's okay. If
It's
you
like
7 feet,
it's just like having a bad hair day, right? Some days you have a bad hair day, sometimes you got a good hair day. But hey, just it's your hair.
it's your hair. It's your hair. uh, last thing for you, Vic, 'cause I know you are very busy, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to speak with me.
Yeah.
But what is one advice you would give someone aspiring to be an entrepreneur, or that already is an entrepreneur?
Yeah. Well, I have to say, make sure that you, like we say, let your faith lead you. Let your faith lead you. Um, let your gratitude guide you, and let love protect you. And if you
Yeah,
just practice that on the daily, you'll be okay.
absolutely. Well, there you have it, Vither. It definitely was a pleasure, talk with you again. As I mentioned before, I have really enjoyed to see your growth on all the social media platforms, especially LinkedIn. Seeing the work you're doing with the Memphis Chamber here, the grand opening and the ribbon cutting
Yeah.
was exciting when I saw that for you.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work. If people want to find you, how can I find you?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, I'm very big on LinkedIn. Victor Ivan Vega, as well. You can connect to me through socials, Instagram, Facebook. But if you really want to reach out to me, just reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Okay. Well, guys, once again, if you need life insurance or you need to learn how to pay off your debt and your mortgage in 9 years or less, I'm your guy. But
Simple
if you
solution.
need some mentorship and a coach to help you scale your business, especially entrepreneurs, well, reach out to Victor. He's the
Yes,
man for it.
let's do it. Well, John, thank you again. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week and had a great time.
Man, it was a pleasure. And nice seeing you again, Victor.
All right, John, take it easy.
We just wrapped up another episode of Simple Solutions. The question is, did you catch the clues? Success isn't complicated. The answers are often simple, but only if you're willing to look for them and apply them. Keep pursuing your goals with passion. Remember, tough times don't last, but tough people do. Until next time, stay focused, stay driven, and keep finding the simple solutions.